शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करभावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानामेकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிரக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே ஜகதः பிதரௌ வந்தே பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வரौ. ஸ்ரீ பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வராभ्यां நமः. कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं हनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी द्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മഞ്ഞനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ടാത്തോരു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning everyone. Okay. We'll do a review of 35. Vasanta Garu, can you do 35?
Yes, and Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. Netasugriva Maitrim Tadanu Hanumata Dundubeh Kaya Muchaihi क्षिप्त्वाङ्गुष्ठेन भूयो लुलुविथयुगपत्पत्रिणा सप्तसालान् हत्वा सुग्रीवघातोद्यतमतुलबलं बालिनं व्याजवृत्या वर्षावेलामनैषीः विरहतरलितस्त्वं मतङ्गाश्रमान्ते सुग्रीवेणानुजोक्त्या सभयमभियतां व्यूहितां वाहिनीं तां वृक्षाणां वीक्ष्य दिक्षु द्रुतमथ दयिता मार्गणायावनं राम सन्देशं चाङ्गुलीयं पवनसुतकरे प्रादिशो मोदशाली मार्गे मार्गे ममार्गे कपिभिरपि तदा त्वत्प्रिया सप्रयासैः तद्वार्ता कर्णनोद्यद्गरुदुरुजवसं पाति सम्पाति वाक्य प्रोतीर्णार्णोधिरः अन्तर्नगरि जनकजां वीक्ष्य दत्त्वाङ्गुलीयं प्रक्षुद्योद्यानम् अक्षक्षपनचनरणः सोडबन्धो दशास्यं दृष्ट्वा प्लुष्ट्वा च लङ्कां झटिति सह हनुमान् मौलिरत्नं ददौ ते.
Vasanta garu, two small corrections. First word, first line, twadvarta. You said tadvarta. Twad. Okay, and then the second line, protirnar no dihi. There's no ra after that. I think you said protirnar no dirihi or something. You said there, right? There's no ra there at the end. The ra becomes a visarga. Ir becomes a visarga.
Okay. Yes, sorry.
Okay, no worries. No, keep going. Yeah.
त्वं सुग्रीवाङ्गदादिप्रबलकपिचमूचक्र विक्रान्तभूमि चक्रोभिक्रम्य पारे जलधि निशिचरेन्द्रानुजाश्रीयमानः तत्प्रोक्तां शत्रुवार्तां रहसि निशमयन् प्रार्थनापार्थ्य रोषप्रास्ताग्नेयास्त्रतेजः स्रसदुदधिगिरा लब्धवान् मध्यमार्गम् कीशैरासान्तरोपाहृतगिरिनिकरैः सेतुमाधाप्ययातो यातून्यामध्य दंष्ट्रा नखशिखरिशिलासालशस्त्रैः स्वसैन्यैः व्याकुर्वन् सानुजस्त्वं समरभुवि परं विक्रमं शक्रजेत्रा वेगान्नागास्त्रबद्धः पतगपतिगरुन्मारुतैर्मोचितो भूः सौमित्रिस्त्वस्त्रशक्तिप्रहृतिगलदसुर्वात जानीत शैलघ्राणात् प्राणानुपेतो व्यकृणुत कुसृतिश्लाघिनं मेघनादम् मायाक्षोभेषु वैभीषणवचनहृतस्तम्भनः कुम्भकर्णं सम्प्राप्तं कम्पितोर्वीतलमखिलचमू भक्षिणं वेक्षिणोस्त्वं गृह्णन् जम्भारि सम्प्रेषितरथकवचौ रावणेनाभियुध्यन् ब्रह्मास्त्रेणास्य भिन्दन् गलततिम् अबलामग्निशुद्धां प्रगृह्णन् देवश्रेणीवरोज्जीवितसमरमृतैः अक्षतैर्वृक्षसङ्घैः लङ्काभर्ता च साकं निजनगरमगाः सप्रियः पुष्पकेन प्रीतो दिव्याभिषेकैः अयुतसमधिकान् वत्सरान् पर्यरंसीः मैथिल्यां पापवाचा शिव शिव किल तां गर्भिणीमभ्यहासीः शत्रुघ्नेनार्दयित्वा लवणनिशिचरं प्रार्थयः शूद्रपाशं तावद्वाल्मीकिगेहे कृतिवसतिरुपासूत सीतासुतौ ते.
Krita, small. Krita vasati. Last line. Yeah.
कृतवसतिरुपासूत सीतासुतौ ते वाल्मीके स्वसुदोद्गापितमथुरकृते राज्ञया यज्ञवाटे सीतां त्वय्याप्तु कामे क्षितिमविशदसौ त्वं च कालार्थितो भूः हेतोः सौमित्रिघाती स्वयमथ भृत्यैः साकं नाकं प्रयातो निजपदमगमो देववैकुण्ठमाद्यम् सोऽयं मर्त्यावतारः तव खलु नियतं मर्त्यशिक्षार्थमेवं विश्लेषार्तिर्निरागस्त्य जनमपि भवेत् कामधर्म्यातिशक्त्या नो चेत् स्वात्मानुभूते हि क्वनु तव मनसो विक्रिया चक्रपाणे सत्वं सत्वैकमूर्ते पवनपुरपते व्याधुनु व्याधितापान्. Sorry, so many.
Very nice. You almost have it by heart or not yet?
No, not quite.
No, just kidding. No, very, very nicely done. No, very nicely done. So yeah, this is all tough chapters. So once you get the hang of these, then rest of the stuff will just look relatively easy, right? That's all. So okay.
Yeah, still I miss some of those.
No, you did very well. You did very well. Okay, so we'll jump into 36 today. Parashram Avatara Varnanam. Padma Garu, you and Sujata Garu, you can be first round. Okay. Okay. So Dashakam 36. अत्रेः पुत्रतया पुरा त्वमनसूयायां हि दत्ताभिदो जातः शिष्यनिबन्धतन्त्रितमनाः स्वस्तश्चरन् कान्तया दृष्टो भक्ततमेन हेहयमहीपालेन तस्मै वरान् अष्टैश्वर्यमुखान् प्रदाय ददितस्वेनैव चान्ते वधम्. So there are lot of stories which get woven into this. So we'll kind of try to make it easy, but sometimes it will be difficult to follow. So you all remember Kardama and Devahuti, to whom Kapila was born. And then Kapilopakyanam we saw, right, in 14th and 15th Dashakam. So they also had, Kardama and Devahuti also had a daughter along with Kapila, after Kapila, and her name was Anasuya. This Anasuya then married sage Atri, who was one of the Sapta Rishis, right? So the sage Atri and Anasuya, they perform a lot of penance. They perform amount of penance to the extent that the Trinity come in front of them. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, all three come in front of them and say, what do you want? So then they say, we want a portion of each of you to be born as children for us. So that's how what happens is, then Brahma, a portion of Brahma is born as Chandra. Then Durvasa is born as a portion of Shiva. So if you remember, we saw that one of the other ones where Durvasa, Suravanitapta, Divya Malam, where in that case Bhattaripad also refers to that point that you are a amsham of Shiva. So you still have a portion of anger in you to Durvasa, right? So Durvasa was born as a portion of Shiva. Now Vishnu, when the Vishnu also comes and says, okay, I will, a portion of me, I will give you myself, right? So Datta means to give. So I will give a portion of me to you. So that's why, and then because it is Atri's son, it becomes Atreya. So that's why Dattatreya name comes, because Datta means to give, Atreya means son of Atri. So that son of Vishnu, a portion of Vishnu which is born as a son, is called Dattatreya. So this is Dattatreya, that's the birth of Dattatreya. It's briefly referenced here. I'm just telling you the backstory because of that. So this Dattatreya, then it says that then after a period of time, when Dattatreya was teaching to everybody, then he said, I'm done with this, and then he went into meditation, and then he wasn't no longer there. So now what happens is this. So because now this Anasuya has a history of being able to get children of the god itself. Now you fast forward. Now there's a king called Kritavirya. This Kritavirya is in this kingdom called Mahishmati. This is not the Bahubali Mahishmati. This is another Mahishmati which was there before, right? So this Kritavirya, so he had many wives, and one of his wife Padmini was there. They didn't have any children. So this Padmini then goes, and then she goes and approaches Anasuya and say, hey, you are so fortunate to get these children. Can you tell me how to go about doing this meditation? So Anasuya prescribes to her how to do it, what meditation do and everything. So to them, then finally Dattatreya comes in front of them, and then he says, you're going to be blessed with a very powerful son. His name is going to be, because his Kritavirya, his son's name is going to be Kartavirya. So it's like Vasudeva, Vasudeva, right? So kind of that's how all these things go. So anyway, Kartavirya Arjuna that's going to be his name. He's going to be born to you. He's going to be very powerful. And of course, the king, like any king, always says, my son should not be killed. He should be undefeatable and all that stuff. But he says all of you can put conditions, but you cannot ask for immortality, right? So he says, okay, he'll be very powerful, but he'll die at my hands. That's the blessings that Dattatreya comes and gives to his Kritavirya. So anyway, so all of that is happening here, and the Kartavirya Arjuna is now born. This Kartavirya Arjuna becomes a big devotee of Dattatreya, and then he is then blessed with Ashta Siddhi. Like we say, Ashta Siddhi Navanidike Data. Hanuman has Ashta Siddhis, means ability to become small, ability to become big, light, heavy, all of these 8 Siddhis. This Kartavirya Arjuna gets, and he becomes an extremely powerful king. So that is the backstory of what is happening here, right? Before even Rama is born. So Atrehe is there, put a F. Atreh putrataya pura, comma, tvam anasuyayam hi dattabhido, comma, jataha, put a ish, jatash shishya nibandha tandrita manaha, comma, swastash charan kantaya. Atreh putrataya pura, त्वमनसूयायां हि दत्ताभिदो जातः शिष्य निबन्ध तन्द्रितमनाः स्वस्तश्चरन् कान्तया.
अत्रेः पुत्रतया पुरा त्वमनसूयायां हि दत्तोऽभिधो जातः शिष्य निबन्ध तन्द्रितमनाः स्वस्तश्चरन् कान्तया.
Remember first line, Dattabhido. You said Datto there, first line, last word.
Dattabhido. Okay. Atre putrataya pura tvamanasuyayam hi dattabhido jatas sishya nibhanta tantrita manaha swastascharan kantaya.
Atre putrataya pura tvamanasuyayam hi dattabhido jatas shishya nibandha tandrita manaha swastascharan kantaya. Atre putrataya pura tvamanasuyayam hi dattabhido jatas shishya nibandha tandrita manaha swastascharan kantaya.
Drishto bhaktatamena hehaya mahipalena, comma. That Hehaya is the name of the kingdom. Mahishmati was the capital. Hehaya mahipalena, comma. Tasmai varan. Put a in at the end of that line and a comma. Next line, the na that you have becomes a. Ashtaishwarya mukan pradhaya, comma. Dhadita svenaiva chante vadam. Drishto bhaktatamena hehaya mahipalena tasmai varan ashtaishwarya mukan pradaya dadita svenaiva chante vadam.
Rajesh Garu, is it drushto or drashto?
Drishto, to see. Drishto.
Okay.
Drushto bhaktatamena heya. No. Drushto bhaktatamena hehaya mahipalena tasmai varan ashtaishwarya mukhan pradaya dadita swanaina chante vadham.
Svenaiva. The fourth line. Svenaiva chante.
Drushto bhaktatamena hehaya mahipalena tasmai varan ashtaishwarya mukhan pradaya daditha swanaiva chante vadham.
Svenaiva, that word.
Svenaiva.
Yeah.
Svenaiva. Okay, sorry.
Drushto bhaktatamena he hayamahi palena tasmai varan ashtaishwarya mukhan pradaya daditha svenaiva chante vadham. Drushto bhaktatamena he hayamahi palena tasmai varan ashtaishwarya mukhan pradaya daditha svenaiva chante vadham.
Stanza 2. Satyam kartumatarjunasya chavaram तच्छक्तिमात्रानतं ब्रह्मद्वेषि तदाखिलं नृपकुलं हन्तुं च भूमेर्भरं सञ्जातो जमदग्नितो भृगुकुले त्वं रेणुकायां हरे रामो नाम तदात्मजेष्वरजः पित्रोरधाः सम्मधम्. So like Bhagavan said in Bhagavad Gita also, right? So whenever adharma is up or when it reaches a particular point, I will take an avataram, right? So in this case, what is happening was the rule of the Kshatriyas, the kings, had taken over to a point where none of the religious things were getting followed and there was no control. So all the atrocities started happening. So all the kings had the power, and because the kings had the power and they all team up, and then they all team up, and a lot of adharma was happening. So the number one reason for Parshurama Avataram to happen was to that Brahma Dveshi, the Kshatriyas who had become anti-Brahminical or going against the principles of Dharma. So to get rid of them was one of the main reasons that you decide to take Avataram here. The second reason also was, if you remember, the Kartavirya Arjuna who has Ashta Siddhi now and he has got 1,000 arms. Now he has to be gotten rid of at some point, right? Because he was also a big Kshatriya. So somebody who has to be born has to be powerful, more powerful than that Kartavirya Arjuna. So to take care, to get rid of the Kshatriyas who were driving all in atrocities in the earth, and to get rid of Kartavirya Arjuna, you then decide to be born, right? You are born as Rama. Now you are born as Rama to a person called Jamadagni. So this Jamadagni itself, he's one of the current Saptarishis. So what happens is every time a Manu changes, when the ruler changes, the Saptarishis also change. So the current Jamadagni is one of the current Saptarishis because this is happening during the 7th Manu, Vaivasvata Manu. So there is one interesting story that his father, Richika Muni, and this is not mentioned in Narayaneeyam, but I'm just telling you because there's an interesting connection here. So Richika Muni, so he and his wife, he's a very famous, Muni. So his wife and his mother-in-law. So his wife is Rishika Muni is a Brahmin, his wife is a Kshatriya, and so of course his mother-in-law is also a Kshatriya, right? So his wife wants a child. His mother-in-law says, even if you're going to perform all this homam, I also want a child, right? So he says, okay, I'm going to perform one homam, and out of it 2 prasadams are going to come, and I'm going to give 1 to each of you. So you both have it, you will then have the appropriate children. So he performs all the homam, he gets 2 prasadams, he then goes off. Then when he comes back, then his wife tells him, but his mother-in-law thinks, if this guy has performed the homam, he's going to be more favorable to his wife. So he would have given something more special to his wife. So what his mother-in-law discusses with her daughter, and they swap the prasadams that they get. So essentially whatever he had intended for his wife, his mother-in-law gets, and vice versa. So Richika Muni said, you made a big mistake. He says, because the son who is going to be born out of the prasadam I give to you, which is his wife, was supposed to be a Brahmin. And the son who's supposed to be born to your mother-in-law is going to have Kshatriya spirit in him. He's going to have the things of a Kshatriya. But now you guys swapped it, which means the child who's going to be born to us is going to have a Kshatriya element, and to your mother is going to be a Brahminical person, right? So this, then when they realize, his wife says, oh my God, what can be done now? So he says, nothing can be done. The only thing I can do is the son will be okay, but the grandson is going to be a Kshatriya person. So the son who's born to them is Jamadagni, right? Who's Parashurama's father. And that's why Jamadagni was a Brahmin, or when I say Brahmin, he was following the Brahminical principles. But the person who's born to Jamadagni, which is Rama here, although he's born in the clan of Brahmins, right? His behavior was not of that. His behavior was that of a Kshatriya. Now, the other person who's born was actually Vishwamitra. Although Vishwamitra was born to this person's mother-in-law, he was born in the Kshatriya clan, but then he became a Maharishi, Vishwamitra, right? Later on, he transferred and became a Maharishi. So eventually, he got the Brahminical. That was the thing that happened here. It is not mentioned in detail here, but what happened was there was a swap that happened essentially. So this Jamadagni is born to these people, and to that Jamadagni and Renuka, you are born as Rama. They had a lot of children, a lot of boys. You are born as the last of the boys. And then you are, of course, being the last of the boys, Pitroradha Sammadam. You are a very big favorite of your father and your mother because you are the last born child. So he's just born as Rama, right? He hasn't gotten the name Parashurama yet. That's going to only come later. So we just refer to him as Rama for now. So Satyam Kartum Atarjunasya Chavaram, Tat Shakti Matranatam, Brahmadveshi tadakilam nripakulam, hantum cha bhumerbharam. Satyam kartumatarjunasya chavaram tachakti matra natam brahmadveshi tadakilam nripakulam hantum cha bhumerbharam.
Satyam kartumatharjunasya च वरं तच्छक्तिमात्रानतं ब्रह्मद्वेषि तथाखिलं नृपकुलं हन्तुं च भूमेर्भरम्. Satyam kartumatharjunasya varam tachakti matranatam brahmadveshi tathakilam rupakulam hamtum cha bhumer bharam.
सत्यं कर्तुमथार्जुनस्य च वरं तच्छक्तिमात्रानतं ब्रह्मद्वेषि तथाखिलं नृपकुलं हन्तुं च भूमेर्भरम् सत्यं कर्तुमथार्जुनस्य च वरं तच्छक्तिमात्रानतं ब्रह्मद्वेषि तथाखिलं नृपकुलं हन्तुं च भूमेर्भरम्
Sanjato Jamadagnito Bhrigukule. Bhrigukule just means in the clan of Bhrigu. Bhrigukule, Tvam Renukayam Hare, Ramo Nama Tad Atma Jeshwa Varajaha. That's what you have to say together. Tad Atma Jeshwa Varajaha, Pitroradhaha, put a is Pitroradha Sammadam. संजातो जमदग्नितो भृगुकुले त्वं रेणुकायां हरे रामो नाम तदात्मजेष्वरजः पित्रोरथाः सम्मदम्.
Sanjato jamadagnito bhrugukule tvam renukayam hare Ramo nama tadatmajeshva varajah pitro ratha sammadam. Sanjato jamadagnito bhrugukule tvam renukayam hare Ramo nama tadatmajeshva varajah pitro ratha sammadam.
संजातो जमदग्नितो भृगुकुले त्वं रेणुकायां हरे रामो नाम तदात्मजेष्वरजः पित्रो रथा सम्मदम् संजातो जमदग्नितो भृगुकुले त्वं रेणुकायां हरे रामो नाम तदात्मजेष्वरजः पित्रो रथा सम्मदम्.
संसत्री लब्धाम्नाय गणश्चतुर्दश वया गन्धर्वराजे मनाक् आसक्तां किल मातरं प्रतिपितुः क्रोधाकुलस्याग्न्यया ताताज्ञातिकसोदरैः सममिमां छित्त्वात शान्तात् पितुः तेषां जीवनयोगमापितवरं माता च ते धाध्वरान्. So when this Rama turns 14, so he by the time he had of course learned all the Vedas, he's Jamadagni's son, so he's learned everything, and so he was going in the right way. Like we said, he was going in the Brahmanical way so far. He's doing all the fire sacrifices and everything. So this Jamadagni, every day he performs this he's Agnihotri, he performs fire sacrifices every day. So his wife Renuka has to go, she goes to the Ganges and she gets water for him for whatever is required. So one day what happens is Renuka goes to the Ganges and there she sees these Gandharvas. Gandharvas are people who are the demigods who are in different planets. So he sees them, he sees that one of the Gandharvas with few other people in the Ganges river. She gets very attracted to them mentally and she's just staring at them wondering, that these people look so beautiful, they look so rich and everything. She's just sitting and thinking. And when she does that, she loses, she loses time. Then when she comes back with water, she realizes she's late. Now, she knows Jamadagni has enough vision that he knows whatever is happening. So there's no use lying to him. So she puts the water in front and then she bends her head and she stands because she knows she's committed a mistake and Jamadagni also knows that. So Jamadagni then tells his sons, go kill your mother, right? But then none of the sons want to do that. Then he finally tells Parashurama that your brothers are also not following me. He tells Rama, your brothers are also not following my orders. I want you to go kill your brothers and to kill your mother, right? So now what will Rama do, right? He knows that Jamadagni has got enough yogic power that he can get. He just thinks all of these people will get burnt. but he also knows the power Jamadagni has. So what Rama does is he goes and actually kills everybody. He kills all his brothers and he also kills his mother. And then Jamadagni goes and says, "You done whatever I asked for. What do you want?" He says, "I want two boons. I want all of them to be restored, and I want none of them to know that I actually killed them. They should not have that in their memory." Right? So because then Jamadagni then agrees to it and he blesses him with it. So that's why he gets rid of them and they all come back to life. Because Rama realizes the only way out here is to kind of go through him and then get them back to life. Otherwise, he will just think of it and they will all, something will happen. So anyway, so all of that happens and you get it. So that's a famous story of saying Parashurama went and listened to his father and killed, but he was doing it very strategically. He figured out that by this, Jamadagni will be happy and Jamadagni will ask him what he wants and he'll be able to bring them all back to life. That's what is happening here. So Labdham Naya Ganash Chaturdasha Vaya Gandharvaraje Manak. Put a ik, first ka, ik, comma. So that line is continuous. Manak. Next line you have the ga becomes a there. Asaktam kila mataram prati pituhu, comma. Krodha kulasyagnyaya. Labdhamnaya ganaschaturdaşavaya gandharvaraje manak asaktam kila mataram pratipituhu krodha kulasyagnyaya.
लब्धाम्नाय गणश्चतुर्दशवया गन्धर्वराजे मनाग आसक्तां किल मातरं प्रतिपितुः क्रोधाकुलसाग्नय
Krodha kulasyagnyaya.
sorry. लब्धाम्नाय गणश्चतुर्दशवया गन्धर्वराजे मनाग आसक्तां किल मातरं प्रतिपितुः क्रोधाकुलस्याग्नया.
One small correction, Padma, that first line last letter, right? Manak is a ka sound. The ga that is there in the next line, you break it, becomes a ik and a. So manak.
Manak. Okay.
लब्धाम्नाय गणचतुर्दशवया गन्धर्वराजे मनाकु आसक्तां किल मातरं प्रतिपितुः क्रोधाकुलस्याग्नया. लब्धाम्नाय गणचतुर्दशवया गन्धर्वराजे मनाकु आसक्तां किल मातरं प्रतिपितुः क्रोधाकुलस्याग्नया.
ताताज्ञातिग सोदरैहि, put a sodarai samamimam, comma, chitwata shantat pituhu, put a visarga and a comma there at the end, pituhu. Next line that is goes away. Tesham jivana yogam apita varam, comma, mata cha tedadvaran. That word those two words come together, tedadvaran. ताथाज्ञातिगसोदरैः सममिमां छित्त्वात शान्तात् पितुः तेषां जीवनयोगमापितवरं माता च तेदाध्वरान्.
ताथाज्ञातिगसोदरैः सममिमां चित्वाथ शान्तात् पितुः तेषां जीवनयोगमापितवरं माता च तेदाध्वरान्.
Padma Guru, that third line, that the sodarai he is, you just put is to join that visarga. Sodarai samamimam.
Sodarai, not he. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Tata gnatiga sodarai samamimam chitvatha shantat pituhu tesham jivana yogamapitavaram mata cha tetadvaran.
ताताज्ञातिग सोदरैः सममिमां चित्वाथ शान्तात् पितुः तेषां जीवनयोगमापितवरं माता च तेदाध्वरानो. ताताज्ञातिग सोदरैः सममिमां चित्वाथ शान्तात् पितुः तेषां जीवनयोगमापितवरं माता च तेदाध्वरानु.
Stanza 4. Pitra matrumude stavahritaviyadhenurnijaadashramate prastayata bhrigorgira himagirau aradhya gauri patim labdhva tatparashum taduktadanujaccedi mahastradikam prapto mitramata kritavranammunim prapyagamaswashramam. So now what happens is then his father, Jamadagni, right, to keep his mother happy, Renuka happy, because she has a lot of things, because to make things easy, he gets the Kamadhenu itself to his ashrama. So now their ashrama, this is what is going to become the plot for the next several stanzas. So he has a Kamadhenu, we now in their ashrama for Jamadagni and Renuka. So anything they want for the homam, ghee, milk, everything is available for them from this Kamadhenu. Then Rama here, then he's advised by this father that you should go to Himagira, which means to Himalayas, to go worship Gauri Patim, to go worship Shiva. So then Rama sets out to worship Shiva, and then he goes and he does a lot of penance and meditation. Finally, Shiva comes in front of him and then gives him the Parashu, which is the axe. So that's why his name then becomes Parashurama, because he then everything else that Rama does from here is using his axe. So that's why he gets his Labdhva Tat Parashum. He gets his axe and also various Mahastradikam. Now that's why the thing, right? Although he is in this Brahmanical thing, his mentality is that of a Kshatriya. That is, he's out there to figure out how do I go defend, how do I go get rid of things. So that's why he then gets all the necessary things he needs for that. And then he comes and along the way, he meets a friend called Akrita Vrana. That's why in the last line, Mitram Atakrita Vrana Munim. So he meets a friend whose name is Akrita Vrana, and they all come back to the ashrama. So just a general thing, what is happening so far, right? Here is just, so he gets a friend, and his now name has become Rama, Parashurama. He has a Parashu. Pitra Matru Mude, Stavahrita Viyad Dhenur Nijad Ashramat. Nijad Ashramat. So one comma after Matru Mude, next comma at the end of the line. Nijad Ashramat. Prastayata Bhrugor Gira Himagirau. So if you have Himagira Varadhya, you remove that Va there, put a Rau, Himagirau, comma. Next word becomes Aradhya Gauri Patim. So that Va letter goes away. Himagirau, comma, Aradhya Gauri Patim. Pitra Matrumude Stava Hritabiyadhenur Nijadashramate Prastayata Bhrigor Gira Himagirau Aradhya Gauri Patim.
Pitra Matrumude Stava Hrutaviyad Denorni Jada Ashramat Prastayatha Bhrugor Gira Himagira Girarai.
No, Girau, Himagirau. So the Va that is there, remove that Va completely. Put Himagirau.
Himagirau.
And then Aradhya.
Aradhya Gauri Patim. Pitra Matrumude Stava Hruta Viyad Denor Nijadashramat Prastayata Bhrugor Gira Himagirau Aradhya Gauri Patim.
Pitra Matrumude Stavahrita Viyadhe no Nijadashraya Shramatu Prastayatha Bhrugor Gira Himagirau Aradhya Gauri Patim. Pitra Matrumude Stavahrita Viyadhe no Nijadashramatu Prastayatha Bhrugor Gira Himagirau Aradhya Gauri Patim.
Labdva Tat Parashum, comma, Tadukta Danujach Chedi Mahastradikam, and then put a plus. So after Tat Parashum, there is a comma, then put a plus at the end. Prapto, and then put a comma. So all the Maha, Astra, Adikam, etc., Prapto, having gotten it, comma. Mitram Athakrita Brana Munim. So that word you have to know way to break it. You have to kind of say it together. Mitram Athakrita Vrana Munim, comma, Prapyagamaha, put is Prapyagama Swashramam. So some places, it's better to understand little bit of a context of what that word is. Like the last word Swashramam is coming, means he's referring to Ashramam is ashrama. That's why it's swashramam. Then, like I said, akrita vrana, that is the name of the muni. So that word is embedded in there. So some of those words we can't break it. Labdhva tatparashum taduktadanujaच्छेदी mahastradikam prapto mitramata krita vranamunim prapyagama swashramam.
लब्ध्वा तत्परुषं तदुक्तदनुजच्छेदि महास्त्रादिकं प्राप्तो मित्रामथाकृतव्रणमुनिं प्राप्य गमस्वाश्रमम्.
After prapto, there is a comma, okay, in the fourth line.
प्राप्तो, okay. लब्ध्वा तत्परुषं तदुक्तदनुजच्छेदि महास्त्रादिकं प्राप्तो मित्रामथाकृतव्रणमुनिं प्राप्य गमस्वाश्रमम्.
लब्ध्वा तत्परुषं तदुक्तदनुजच्छेदी महास्त्रादिकं प्राप्तो मित्रमथाकृतव्रणमुनिं प्राप्यागमस्वाश्रमम्. लब्ध्वा तत्परुषं तदुक्तदनुजच्छेदी महास्त्रादिकं प्राप्तो मित्रमथाकृतव्रणमुनिं प्राप्यागमस्वाश्रमम्.
Sounds fine. आकेटोपगतोऽर्जुनः सुरगवी सम्प्राप्त सम्पद्गणैः त्वत्पित्रा परिपूजितः पुरगतो दुर्मन्त्रिवाचा पुनः गां क्रेतुं सचिवं न्ययुङ्क्त कुदिया तेनापि रुन्दन्मुनिः प्राणक्षेपसरोषगो हतचमू चक्रेण वत्सो हृतः. So now we're going to come back to this Kartavirya Arjuna story where we left off, right? If you remember, he was born to that Kritavirya, he was born with the Ashtasiddhi, he has 1,000 arms, and he was then told that Dattatreya said, a portion of me or my avataram itself is going to come and get rid of you. That's the only way. So this Kartavirya Arjuna has become now a very famous and powerful king. So one day he was wandering around, hunting, and then he, comes along this ashramam of Jamadagni. So he comes along with all his troops. So then he comes, but Jamadagni says, all of you are welcome because I have this Kamadhenu, I can feed all of you, right? So he then shows the power of Kamadhenu by giving them all food. So this Kartavirya Arjuna is a big king, right? So even though he has all these riches and is extremely wealthy and powerful, there's still a little bit of greed left in him. How is this Rishi? He now can feed my entire army, right? And then looks like he has something very special, the cow he has. And plus, he's also worried that this Rishi who's performing this Agnihotri every day with the ghee which is coming from Kamadhenu is going to make the Rishi even more powerful than Kartavirya Arjuna. So he then gets jealous, and then of course Durmantri, the ministers around him tell, you know what, you are the king, you should be having the Kamadhenu. Why is this Rishi sitting in the forest having this Kamadhenu, right? So they all decide to then, when Parashurama was not at home, so they all come and they approach this Jamadagni and says, we want to take this Kamadhenu away. So of course Rishi refuses to give. So what they do is they all then kill Jamadagni off, and then they could not take Kamadhenu, but they were able to take the calf on away. So they come and take all the calf away of Jamadagni, and they get rid of Jamadagni. So Aketo Bhagatorjunaha. So that word also Arjunaha, that's the only thing separation, but you have to say the whole word together. Aketo Bhagatorjunaha, comma Suragavi Samprapta Sampad Ganaihi. So put a visarga at the very end, comma Sampad Ganaihi. Next line, if you have a is, that goes away. Tvat pitra paripujitaha, comma pura gato durmantri vacha punaha. Aketo pagatorjunaha suragavi samprapta sampadganaihi tvat pitra paripujitaha puragato durmantri vacha punaha.
आखेटोपगतोऽर्जुनः सुरगवी सम्प्राप्त सम्पद्गणैः त्वत्पित्रा परिपूजितः पुरगतो दुर्मन्त्रिवाचा पुनः. आखेटोपगतोऽर्जुनः सुरगवी सम्प्राप्त सम्पद्गणैः त्वत्पित्रा परिपूजितः पुरगतो दुर्मन्त्रिवाचा पुनः.
आखेटोपगतोऽर्जुनः सुरगवी सम्प्राप्तसम्पद्गणैः त्वत्पित्रा परिपूजितः पुरगतो दुर्मन्त्रिवाचा पुनः आखेटोपगतोऽर्जुनः सुरगवी सम्प्राप्तसम्पद्गणैः त्वत्पित्रा त्वत्पित्रिता परिपूजितः पुरगतो दुर्मन्त्रिवाचा पुनः.
Yeah, this tvat pitra, that's all. Yeah. Gam kretum sachivam nyayunkta, kudiya tenapi rundhan muni, and then put a plus, then the whole of the next line. So this chapter is also a little bit of a tough chapter, but I can promise you the next 3 chapters are easy ones, okay? But then the previous is from Rama Avataram to Parashuram Avataram are little hard ones. So Rundan Muni, and then put a plus, Prana Kshepa Sarosha Go Hata Chamu Chakrena Vatso Kritaha. So I think each of the words are very easily breakable here. So I'll repeat: Prana Kshepa Sarosha Go Hata Chamu Chakrena Vatso Kritaha. Gam Kretum Sachivam Nyayunkta Kudiya Tenapi Rundhan Mune Prana Kshepa Sarosha Go Hata Chamu Chakrena Vatso Kritaha.
गां क्रेतुं सचिवं नयुक्त कुतिया तेनापि रुन्धन् मुनिप्राणक्षेप सरोषगोहत चमूचक्रेण वत्सो हृतः.
The third line, right? Nyayungta, the ing sound has to come. Nyayungta. Third line.
Nyayungta.
Yeah.
Nyayungta. Okay. Gam kretum sachivam nyayungta kuthya tena pirundhan munipranakshepa sarosha gohata chamuchakrena vatso hrutaha.
तां क्रेतुं सचिवं यंयुक्त कुधिया तेनापि रुन्धन् मुनिप्राणक्षेप सरोषको हत चमूचक्रेण वत्सो हृतः. गां क्रेतुं सचिवं यंयुक्तं गां क्रेतुं सचिवं यंयुक्त कुधिया तेनापि रुन्धन् मुनिप्राणक्षेप सरोषको हत चमूचक्रेण वत्सो हृतः.
Stanza 6. Shukro jivitata vakya chalita krodhota sakya samam bibhradhyata mahodaropanihitam chapam kutharam sharan आरूढ़ सहवाह यंत्र करतम माहिष्मती माविशन्न भाग्भिर्वत्समदाशु शिक्षिति पतौ संप्रास्तुता संगरम. So, because you remember we said Brigukule, we said in the beginning, Brigukule Tvam Renukayam Hare, that came Rama, right? Is born in the clan of Brigu. Now, the son of Brigu is Shukracharya. Now, you also know that we also saw in Dasakam 30 when we were talking Vamana Avataram, it says, Shakrena Samyati Hatopi Balir Mahatma Shukrena Jivitatanu. By Shakra, by Indra, when Mahabali was killed, he wasn't brought back to life by Shukracharya. So Shukracharya has this thing called some Sanjeevani Vidya, which he was got as a blessing from Shiva, where I don't know if the person has completely gone to death and he can recover back, which I doubt it, but maybe to a point where the person is almost dead, then with the Sanjeevani Vidya, he can recover him back, right? So that's what is also happening here, that because this Jamadagni is also in the clan of Brigu, with Shukracharya's help, he is then brought back to life. He might not have completely died, because when you're completely dead, you cannot generally come back, because your body loses the Sukshma Shariram. It goes into that Sukshma Shariram, loses the Sthula Shariram. Anyway, so he is not completely dead, but is almost dead, but somehow Shukracharya brings him back from it and is brought back to life. So now when Parashurama comes and then he hears the whole story that this Kartavirya Arjuna has come, he's taken Kamadhenu's calf and he tried to almost kill his father and everything. So he then gets along with his friend, and then he goes to Mahishmati, which is the capital of Hehaya, where Kartavirya Arjuna is there, and he's ready to go and battle with Kartavirya Arjuna at that point. So Shukro Jivita, Ij sound, Ij and Aja, Shukroj Jivita, Tata Vakya Chalita Krodhota Sakya Samam, and then a comma, so that full line is together. Bibrad Dhyata Mahodaropa Nihitam. So yeah, so he then goes and meditates upon Mahodara. Mahodara is like one of the avatarams of Lord Ganesha. So he goes and meditates on Mahodara first, and then gets more, ammunition and blessings and everything. So Mahodaropa Nihitam, comma, Chapam Kutaram Sharan. शुक्रोज्जीवित तातवाक्यचलित क्रोधोत सख्या समं बिभ्रद्यात महोदरोपनिहितं चापं कुठारं शरान्.
शुक्रोज्जीविततातवाक्यचलित क्रोधोऽथ सख्या समं बिभ्रद्यात महोदरोप निहितं चापं कुठारं शरान्. शुक्रोज्जीविततातवाक्यचलित क्रोधोऽथ सख्या समं बिभ्रद्यात महोदरोप निहितं चापं कुठारं शरान्.
शुक्रो जीविततातवाक्यचलितक्रोधोऽथ सख्या समं बिभ्रद्यात महोदरोपनिहितं चापं कुठारं शरान्. शुक्रो जीविततातवाक्यचलितक्रोधोऽथ सख्या समं बिभ्रद्यात महोदरोपनिहितं चापं कुठारं शरान्.
Arudaha, put is arudas sah vaha yantrika ratam, comma, mahishmatim avishan. You can break at that ma if you want. Mahishmatim avishan, comma, vagbhir vatsam adashushi kshiti patau, comma, samprastutaha, put is samprastutas sangaram. आरूढ़ सहवाह यंत्रकरतम माहिष्मतीमाविशन् वाग्भिर्वत्समदाशु शिक्षितिपतौ संप्रास्तुता संगरम्.
आरूढ़ सहवाह यंत्रकरथम माहिष्मतीमाविशन् वाग्भिर्वत्स
Vatsam, if you want to break it, you can break it at that ma there. Vagbir vatsamadashushi.
वाग्भिर्वत्समधासु क्षितिपतौ संप्रास्तुता संगरम्. आरूढ़ सहवाह यंत्रकरथम माहिष्मतीमाविशन् वागिर्वत्समधासु क्षितिपतौ संप्रास्तुता संगरम्.
आरूढ़ सहवाह यंत्रकरथम माहिष्मतीमाविशन् वाग्भिर्वत्समदाशु शिक्षितिपतौ संप्रास्तुता संगरम्. आरूढ़ सहवाह यंत्रकरथम माहिष्मतीमाविशन् वाग्भिर्वत्समदाशु शिक्षितिपतौ संप्रास्तुता संगरम्.
Okay, we'll just switch halfway. And Sundari, you can be a student, and Ram, you can be a student. Stanza 7. Putranhamayuten सप्तदशभिश्चाक्षौहिणीभिर्महासेनानीभिरनेकमित्रनिवहैः व्याजृम्भिता योधनः सद्यस्त्वत्ककुठारबाणविदलन् निःशेषसैन्योत्करो भीते प्रद्रुतनष्टशिष्टतनयः त्वामापदद्धेहयः. So now this Kartavirya Arjuna, right? We said he is first of all extremely powerful. He also has lot of children. And then in olden times in the army, they have this concept called as an Akshauhini. Akshauhini is one Akshauhini is a combination of how many chariots are there, and then how many elephants are there, how many horses are there, how many foot soldiers are there, right? So I think one Akshauhini is about 20,000 chariots, and then an equivalent number of elephants, and then you have 1:3 ratio of horses, and then 1:4 ratio or 5 ratio of foot soldiers, right? That's one Akshohini. So as a context, Kauravas had 11 Akshohinis, Pandavas had 6 Akshohinis. That's or 6 or 7, something they had. That's the amount of I know soldiers and things they had. So this Kartavirya Arjuna has Sapta Dashabhi, means 17 such Akshohinis, which is pretty much the entire Kaurava and Pandava army size army he has. Right, so when Parshurama now goes to battle, and Parshurama is going along with his friend Akritavarna, just two of them, they go and single-handedly they defeat all the 17 Akshohinis of Kartavirya Arjuna. Right, so he destroys all their armies, and then his sons also, he has a lot of sons. So whoever was willing to fight, he defeated them. The rest of them who didn't want to fight then run away. So pretty much there's a battle now that's going to happen between Kartavirya Arjuna and Parshurama, and he's right now defeated his army and the children of Kartavirya Arjuna. So Putranam Ayutena, comma, Sapta Dashabhish Chakshauhinibhir. So because Cha Akshauhini, so that's why it's Chakshauhinibhir Maha, and then put a plus. Senani Bhiraneka Mitra Nivahaihi, and then a Visarga. So one comma after Putranam Ayutena, then plus at the end, then Senani Bhiraneka Mitra Nivahaihi, and then comma. Next word on top of that Vya, there is a ir, you can remove that off. Vyajrimbita Yodhanaha. Putranhamayutena Sapta Dashabhischakshauhinibhirmahasenani Biraneka Mitra Nivahaihi Vyajrimbita Yodhanaha.
पुत्राणाम् अयुतेन सप्तदशभिश्चाक्षौहिणीभिर्महासेनानीभिरनेकमित्र निवहैः व्याजृम्भिता योधनः पुत्राणाम् अयुतेन सप्तदशभिश्चाक्षौहिणीभिर्महासेनानीभिरनेकमित्र निवहैः व्याजृम्भिता योधनः
पुत्राणामयुतेन चाक्षौहिणीभिर्महासेनानीभिरनेकमित्र निवहैः व्याजृम्भिता योधनः पुत्राणामयुतेन सप्तदशभिश्चाक्षौहिणीभिर्महासेनानीभिरनेकमित्र निवहैः व्याजृम्भिता योधनः
Sadyas Twatka Kuthara Bana Vidalan Nishesha Sainyotkaro, and then a comma, that line is together. Bhiti Pradruda Nashta Shishta Tanayaha, so that is there, remove it, put a visarga and a comma, Tanayaha. Twam Apada Dhehayaha. Twam Apada Dhehayaha. It's Hehayaha, but because the da is coming, it becomes a double da there. Sadyastvatka Kuthara Bana Vidalan Nishesha Sainyotkaro Bhite Pradruda Nashta Shishta Tanayaha Twamapada Dhehayaha.
सद्यस्त्वत्ककुठारबाणविदलन् निःशेषसैन्योत्करो भीतिप्रद्रुतनष्टशिष्टतनयः त्वामापदद्धेहयः सद्यस्त्वत्ककुठारबाणविदलन् निःशेषसैन्योत्करो भीतिप्रद्रुतनष्टशिष्टतनयः त्वामापदद्धेहयः
सद्यस्त्वत्ककुटारबाणविदलन्निःशेषसैन्योत्करो भीतिप्रद्रुतनष्टशिष्टतनयः त्वामापदद्धेहयः सद्यस्त्वत्ककुटारबाणविदलन्निःशेषसैन्योत्करो भीतिप्रद्रुतनष्टशिष्टतनयः त्वामापदद्धेहयः.
Stanza 8. लीलावारित नर्मदा जलवलल लंकेश गर्वापह श्रीमद्बाहु सहस्रमुक्त बहुशस्त्रास्त्रं निरुन्धन्नमुं Chakre tvayata vaishnavepi viphale buddhva harim tvam muda dhyayantam chita sarvadoshamavadi soghat param te padam. So what happens is this Karthaviri Arjuna is so powerful. One day, there's a story where he was in the banks of Narmada, and then because he has thousands of arms, no, I don't know if he physically had 1,000 arms or he had the power of 1,000 arms, right? So he was able to block the flow of Narmada and divert the flow of Narmada to go somewhere else, literally. So he was so powerful. Now, what was happening was at that time, Ravana was Lanka, that's why it's Lankesha. Lanka is Lankesha means Ravana. So Ravana was also meditating or with this camp somewhere along the banks of Narmada, and the movement of water, because Karthaviri Arjuna flooded it in a different direction, it ends up drowning Ravana. So Ravana comes to battle with this person, Karthaviri Arjuna, and Karthaviri Arjuna is able to take Ravana under control. So that's how powerful he was. So he was more powerful than Ravana itself, right? So this Karthaviri Arjuna, so that's why I think, when I'm going to tell a little later, I don't know if it comes in this stanza, I think, no, it comes later. Anyway, so we'll remember this context of Karthaviri Arjuna greater than Ravana, right? That example we'll remember in the math equation. So anyway, here what happens is then this Karthaviri Arjuna and then Parashurama come and they start battling. So this Karthaviri Arjuna, because he has the Ashta Siddhi, he's putting all his strength. Then he's realizing that this Parashurama is even more powerful than him. Then he remembers the blessing he had got, which was, you are going to die, and Dattatreya's blessing was, I myself, or an incarnation of me is going to come, and that's how your life is going to come to an end. So he realizes that the person who's standing in front of me is some incarnation of Mahavishnu on Dattatreya and everything. So finally he surrenders, and then he gets purified, and that's how he then finally goes to Param Te Padam. He finally goes to your abode. He reaches Vaikuntham because he's purified, because he's meeting death at your hands. So this first two lines, for those of you who learned some level of Sanskrit in high school, there's something called as a samas. Now even I skipped it because I used to not understand samas at all. But essentially what that samas does is, it says, Rajesh has a pen. If you have write as like a sentence in English, you can condense it as Rajesh's pen, right? That's what the samas is. So when you want to, it has a long two sentences, you're able to combine it together into two lines instead of saying multiple sentences. So in this, the first two lines are pretty much, you have to say the first two lines together. You can put a plus at the end of the first line and say the entire first line and the second line together, okay? Because it's a samas. And in my book, they have even broken down that samas, and that samas which is broken down goes to, the first line goes to 3 lines. That's how big that is, which is condensed into one line, right? But we'll break it. It is easy to break it in this case. So Leela Varita Narmada Jala Valal Lankesha Garvapaha, and then put a plus, Srimad Bahu Sahasra Mukta Bahu Shastrastram Nirundhannamum. लीलावारित नर्मदा जलवलल लंकेश गर्वापह श्रीमद् बाहु सहस्र मुक्त बहुशस्त्रास्त्रम निरुन्धन्नमुम.
लीलावारित नर्मदा जलवलल लंकेश गर्वापह श्रीमद् बाहु सहस्र मुक्त बहुशस्त्रास्त्रम निरुन्धन्नमुम. लीलावारित नर्मदा जलवलल लंकेश गर्वापह श्रीमद् बाहु सहस्र मुक्त बहुशस्त्रास्त्रम निरुन्धन्नमुम.
लीलावारित नर्मदा जलवलल लंकेश गर्वापह श्रीमद् बाहु सहस्र मुक्त बहुशस्त्रास्त्रम निरुन्धन्नमुम. लीलावारित नर्मदा जलवलल लंकेश गर्वापह श्रीमद् बाहु सहस्र मुक्त बहुशस्त्रास्त्रम निरुन्धन्नमुम.
चक्रे त्वय्यत वैष्णवेपि विफले, बुद्ध्वा हरिं त्वां मुदा, ध्यायन्तं छित सर्व दोषम अवधीहि, सोगात् परम ते पदम. चक्रे त्वय्यत वैष्णवेऽपि विफले बुद्ध्वा हरिं त्वां मुदा ध्यायन्तं चित सर्वदोषमवधीः सुखात् परं ते पदम्
चक्रे त्वयथ वैष्णवेऽपि विफले बुद्ध्वा हरिं त्वां मुदा ध्यायन्तं चित सर्वदोषमवधीः सोगात् परं ते पदम् चक्रे त्वयथ वैष्णवेऽपि विफले बुद्ध्वा हरिं त्वां मुदा ध्यायन्तं चित सर्वदोषमवधीः सोगात् परं ते पदम्
चक्रे त्वय्यथ वैष्णवेऽपि विपले बुद्ध्वा हरिं त्वां मुदा ध्यायन्तं चित सर्वदोषमवधीः सोगात् परं ते पदम् चक्रे त्वय्यथ वैष्णवेऽपि विफले बुद्ध्वा हरिं त्वां मुदा ध्यायन्तं चित सर्वदोषमवधीः सोगात् परं ते पदम्
Stanza 9. भूयो मर्षितहेहयात्मजगणैः ताते हते रेणुकाम् आज्ञानां हृदयं निरीक्ष्य बहुशो घोरां प्रतिज्ञां वहन् ध्यानानीतरदायुधस्त्वमकृता विप्रद्रुहः क्षत्रियान् दिक्चक्रेषु कुठारयन् विशिकयन् निहि क्षत्रियां मेदिनीम्. So when he comes back, so all the Kartaviri Arjuna is also gone now. Most of his sons are also gone. So he rescues the calf and everything, comes back to his father Jamadagni. So Jamadagni says, "You are born in this clan of Brahmins. You first of all, you cannot go kill people like this. And two, you kill the king itself. The king is a protector of the subject. So even though he has committed mistakes, you cannot go and get rid of the king because then the subjects will have nobody to rule over." So that's what his father says. He says, "You've done a mistake. You should go do penance and everything." So Parashurama then leaves to go atone for what he has done here. So when Parashurama leaves, that's the time. This is like a movie, Then Parashurama leaves, now the villains come again. So this Kartaviri Arjuna's leftover sons come, and then they immediately go and get rid of Jamadagni. So when Jamadagni is killed again, so at the time this Renuka, so she is Agnanam Hridayam. So she's beating her chest and crying, saying that how her husband has been killed. So when Parashurama comes and he sees his mother in that state, then he takes a Ghoram Pratigna. He then takes a big vow. He takes. I mean, if you remember the origin of how Parashurama was wanting to come was, it kind of said Brahma Dveshi. All the Kshatriyas who are doing bad things, his whole purpose was to get rid of Kshatriyas. So he takes a vow. He takes any Kshatriya out there who is not following principles and who's not following this properly, I'm going to go get rid of him. Until then, I'm not going to stop. So that's a vow he takes, and then he goes around and gets rid of everybody who's there, all the Kshatriyas who are there. So that's why I was telling in Rama Avataram, if you remember, he says he goes finally, he reaches Ayodhya. So he gets rid of all the Kshatriyas who are doing bad things. He then finally comes to Ayodhya to go assess, right? And that's when he meets Rama. And then when he meets Rama, and then the bow that Parashurama has, like I said, the bow which Rama broke to win over Sita. So he comes to know about it, Parashurama, and then when he encounters Rama, that's when he realizes that that another avataram has born who's even more powerful than I am, right? For a different purpose. So then he gives up everything. The gives up everything comes in the next stanza. But anyway, so that's the thing, and that's why I was kind of telling, Kartaviri Arjuna is stronger than Ravana. Parashurama is stronger than Kartaviri Arjuna. This Parashurama, when he meets Rama, feels that Rama is even more powerful than Parashurama himself. So that's why for Rama to defeat Ravana was not a big deal. If you think of the relative scale of the strength that everybody had, right? So Bhuyor Marshita Hehayatmaja Atmaja. So Hehayatmaja Ganaihi. So that is, you remove it, put a visarga and a comma, Ganaihi. Tate Hate Renukam, put a im, Renukam, comma. Next line, Ma goes away, put a A. Agnanam Hridayam Niriksha Bahusho, comma. Ghoram Pratignyam Vahan. भूयोर्मर्षितहेहयात्मजगणैः ताते हते रेणुकाम् आज्ञानां हृदयं निरीक्ष्य बहुशो घोरां प्रतिज्ञां वहन्.
भूयो मर्षित हेहयात्मजगणैः ताते हते रेणुकाम् आघ्नानां हृदयं निरीक्ष्य बहुशो घोरां प्रतिज्ञां वहन् भूयोमर्षित हयात्मजगणैः ताते हते रेणुकाम् आघ्नानां हृदयं निरीक्ष्य बहुशो घोरां प्रतिज्ञां वहन्
भूयोमर्षितहेहयात्मजगनैः ताते हते रेणुकाम् आघ्नानां हृदयं निरीक्ष्य बहुशो घोरां प्रतिज्ञां वहन् भूयोमर्षितहेहयात्मजगनैः ताते हते रेणुकाम् आघ्नानां हृदयं निरीक्ष्य बहुशो घोरां प्रतिज्ञां वहन्
ध्यानानीत रथा युधस त्वमकृता Vipra druhaha. See that anytime a visarga is coming before a ksha, you have to say that visarga. So here we are not going to pause, but you're going to say that visarga. So Vipra druhaha kshatriyan, and then put a comma. Dik chakreshu kutharayan vishikayan, comma. Again, nihi is coming. You have to say that visarga. Nihi kshatriyam medinim. So this also same logic applies in Vishnu Sahasranamam, Devi Matyamana. You would have seen there's a visarga is coming in front of ksha. You have to say that visarga. You know, there's no joining letter for that. Dhyananita ratha yudhastwamakrita vipradruha kshatriyan dikchakreshu kutharayan vishikayan nihi kshatriyam medinim.
ध्यानानीतरथायुधस्त्वमकृता विप्रद्रुहः क्षत्रियान् दिक्चक्रेषु कुठारयन् विशिखयन् निहि क्षत्रियां मेदिनीम् ध्यानानीतरथायुधस्त्वमकृता विप्रद्रुहः क्षत्रियान् दिक्चक्रेषु कुठारयन् विशिखयन् निहि क्षत्रियां मेदिनीम्
ध्यानानीतरथायुधस्त्वमकृता विप्रद्रुहः क्षत्रियान् दिच्चक्रेषु कुटारयन् विशिखयन् निहि क्षत्रियां मेदिनीम् ध्यानानीतरथायुधस्त्वमकृता विप्रद्रुहः क्षत्रियान् दिच्चक्रेषु कुटारयन् विशिखयन् निहि क्षत्रियां मेदिनीम्.
Stanza 10. तातो जीवन कृण्णुपालक कुलं त्रिसप्त कृत्वो जयन् संतर्प्यात समन्त पंचकमहारक्त ह्रदौघे पितॄन् यज्ञे क्ष्मामपि काश्यपादिषु दिशन् साल्वेन युध्यन् पुनः कृष्णो मुं निहनिष्यतीति शमितो युद्धात् कुमारैर्भवान्. So like I said, he goes in this getting rid of Kshatriya spree. So 21 battles he has with different Kshatriyas. I don't know the total count, but 21 times. So 3 sapta, 3 is 3 is 3, sapta is 7. So 3 times 7, 21. So 21 battles with Kshatriyas. He gets rid of all the Kshatriyas who he thinks are not following the rules and everything. And like we said, then finally he stops at Ayodhya, and then after that he hands over all the power, like we said in Rama Avataram also. He gives up everything. Then he goes to Samanta Panchaka. Samanta Panchaka is Kurukshetra. So this is going to come later as well in Krishna Avataram also. It's going to come about how that's a very holy place in Kurukshetra, because when there's a solar eclipse that happens during that place where Krishna and Kauravas, Pandavas, everybody go, they stay there for 3 months, they observe, fast and other penance and everything at Kurukshetra. So that Samanta Panchaka place, he goes, and then Parashrama gives up everything and he just completely does penance there. And even all the land and everything, or whatever he had accumulated, he gives everything to Kashyapa Adishu, to Sage Kashyapa and any other rishis who wants. He gives up everything, he gives up all his arms. Then finally, there's one person called Salva who then starts terrorizing. So when he is about to get into battle, then he's told that it's not your responsibility, because in Krishna Avataram, Krishna is going to come and get rid of that Salva. That's why the last line, Krishno mum niha nishyatiti. So he'll say, you don't worry, this is not your responsibility, Krishna's responsibility that is going to be. So he then lets go of that Salva, and then Parashrama gives up everything. Tato jivanam krin nripakula. So nr sound is coming. Krin nripalaka kulam, comma, tris sapta kritvo jayanne, comma, Santarpyata Samanta Panchaka Maharakta Hradauge Pitrun. So double R, Pitrun. So that second line there is no pause. Tato Jeevana Krindrpalaka Kulam Trisapta Kritvo Jayanne Santarpyata Samanta Panchaka Maharakta Hradauge Pitrun.
तातो जीवन कृन्नृपालककुलं त्रिसप्तकृत्वो जयन् सन्तार्प्याथ समन्तक पञ्चक महारक्तह्रदौगे पितॄन्.
Sundari, in the second line, Samanta Panchaka. You said Samantaka. Samanta Panchaka.
तातो जीवन कृन्नृपालककुलं त्रिसप्तकृत्वो जयन् सन्तार्प्याथ समन्त पञ्चक महारक्तह्रदौगे पितॄन्.
तातो जीवन कृन्नृपालककुलं त्रिसप्तकृत्वो जयन् सन्तर्प्याथ समन्तपञ्चकमहारक्तह्रदौघे पितॄन्. तातो जीवन कृन्नृपालककुलं त्रिसप्तकृत्वो जयन् सन्तर्प्याथ समन्तपञ्चकमहारक्तह्रदौघे पितॄन्.
Yagne Kshmamapi Kashypadishu Dishanne, Salvena Yudhyan Punaha, Krishnomum Niha Nishyatiti, Shamito Yuddhat Kumarair Bhavan. Yajne Kshmamapi Kashypadishu Dishanne Salvena Yudhyan Punaha Krishnomum Niha Nishyatiti Shamito Yuddhat Kumarair Bhavan.
यज्ञेक्ष्मामपि काश्यपादिषु दिशन् साल्वेन युध्यन् पुनः कृष्णो मुं निहनिष्यतीति शमितो युद्धात् कुमारैर्भवान्. यज्ञेक्ष्मामपि काश्यपादिषु दिशन् साल्वेन युध्यन् पुनः कृष्णो मुं निहनिष्यतीति शमितो युद्धात् कुमारैर्भवान्.
यज्ञेक्ष्मामपि काश्यपादिषु दिशन् साल्वेन युध्यन् पुनः कृष्णो मुं निहनिष्यतीति शमितो युद्धात् कुमारैर्भवान्. यज्ञेक्ष्मामपि काश्यपादिषु दिशन् साल्वेन युध्यन् पुनः कृष्णो मुं निहनिष्यतीति शमितो युद्धात् कुमारैर्भवान्.
Stanza 11. Nyasyastrani Mahendra Bhumriti Tapastanvan Punarmajjitam Gokarnavadi Sagarena Dharanim Drishtvartitastapasaihi Dhyadeshwasadritanalastra Sindhum Sruvakshepanate Utsaryo Dhridakeralo Bhrigupate Patesha Samrakshamam. So this Jamadagni. So then what happens is Parashrama is abandoned everything. So he does, does a penance in Samanta Panchaka, like I said, he gives up everything. Then finally he goes to Mahendra Bhubriti. He goes to the Mahendra mountains, which are on the east coast in Orissa, and there he continues to meditate, right? And the thing, because the next Manvantara, which is going to happen, where we're going to have the 8th Manu. So at that time, Parashurama is going to become one of the Saptarishis. So he is still, if you remember when we did the Matsyavataram, we saw how in the transition between the Chakshuta Manu to the Vaivaswata Manu, all the Saptarishis were also there, right? So at that time, the transition point, so he's remaining there now till the next transition of the Saptarishis is happening. So he is saying there, he's doing penance now, right? That's what the practicing penance, you are there in there. So next, what happens is, then you go before he completely gives up everything. He goes to the Gokarna, which is on the Orissa side. Then he goes to the west coast, right? Before all of this happens, and so there was a portion of the land which was submerged into the sea. So with this parashu, you dig up a portion of the earth which is buried under the water, and that's why here Bhattadri part from Kerala, it says Utsaryo Dhrida Keralo Bhrigupate. So that portion of the land which Parashurama excavated from the sea becomes the land of Kerala and coastal Karnataka right now. Right. So with that, you say, oh Bhrigupate, oh, one who is in the clan of Bhrigu, Vatesha Samrakshamam, oh Lord of Guruvayur, please protect me. So that's why some people say Parashurama is the discovered Kerala. But essentially what he's done is he's excavated a portion of the land which was under the water. I don't know for what purpose, but that was the coastal side on the west coast. So Nyasyastrani, put a comma, Mahendra Bhubriti Tapas Tanvan, comma, Punar Majjitam, and then put a plus. So one comma after Nyasyastrani, one comma after Tapas Tanvan, then Punar Majjitam, put a plus. Gokarnavadi Sagarena Dharaneem, comma, Drishtvartitas Tapasaihi. Yes, I think Gokarna, I think is on the Gujarat side. I think it comes up to Gujarat or something. So essentially the land on the west coast all the way up. I don't know how far it goes to Gokarna, but the Karnataka maybe. Nyasyastrani Mahendra Bhubriti Tapas Tanvan Punarmajjitam Gokarna Bhadisagarena Dharaneem Drishtvartitas Tapasaihi.
Nyasyastrani Mahendra Bhubruti Tapastanvan Punarmajjitam Gokarnavadi Sagarena Dharaneem Drishtvartitastapasaihi. Nyasyastrani This is like a tongue twister for me.
Astrani, remember the word Astrani.
Correct, yeah, Astrani.
So Nyasya Astrani, Nyasyastrani.
Yeah. Nyasyastrani.
You're adding an extra ya. Nyasyastrani.
Nyasyastrani.
Yeah.
Nyasyastrani Mahendra Bhubruti Tapastanvan Punarmajjitam Gokarnavadi Sagarena Dharaneem Drishtvartitastapasaihi.
Nyasyastrani Mahendra Bhubhriti Tapastanvan Punarmajjitam Gokarnavadhi Sagarena Dharaneem Drishtvartitastapasaihi. Nyasyastrani Mahendra Bhubhriti Tapastanvan Punarmajjitam Gokarnavadhi Sagarena Dharaneem Drishtvartitastapasaihi.
Dhyateshvasa Dritana Lastra Chakitam, comma, Sindhum Sruva Kshepanath. Put a it at the end of that line, comma, Sruva Kshepanath. Next line, the du becomes a u. Utsaryod Dhrita Keralo Bhrigu Pate, comma, Vatesha Samraksha Mam. So he says, oh, Bhrigupati, in essence saying, you, Lord of Guruvayur, who took the incarnation as Bhrigupati, who took the incarnation as Parashurama. Dhyateshvasa Dhritana Lastra Chakitam Sindhum Sruvakshepanate Utsaryo Dhrita Keralo Bhrigupate Vatesha Samrakshamam.
Dhyateshvasa Dhrutanalaastra Chakitam Sindhum Sruvakshepanad Utsaryo Dhruta-keralo Bhrigupate Vatesha Samrakshamam. Dhyateshvasa Dhrutanalaastra Chakitam Sindhum Sruvakshepanad Utsaryo Dhruta-keralo Bhrigupate Vatesha Samrakshamam.
Dhyateshvasa Dhritana Lastra Chakitam Sindhum Struvakshepanat Struvakshepanat Utsaryo Dhrita Keralo Bhrigupate Vatesha Samrakshamam. Dhyateshvasa Dhritana Lastra Chakitam Sindhum Struvakshepanat Utsaryo Dhrita Keralo Bhrigupate Vatesha Samrakshamam.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. So it's complete. This next chapter, next class will cover 37. So all the way pretty much now from Dashakam 37 to Dashakam 88. So 51, 52 Dashakams are all about Krishna Avataram. However, in this we are only going to cover I think 2 or 3. The next batch is going to be all about Krishna Avataram only. Okay, so we'll end this class here today. सान्ध्रानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमितं कालदेशावदिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनरुर्पुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानां कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Rajesh.
sir.
Thank you.